Chiefs Kingdom. This week's injury report drops like a thunderbolt because one name makes Sunday night a lot trickier. Christian Roland Wallace is officially out with a back issue, and his absence forces an immediate domino effect in the secondary that you need to understand. Put simply, with Roland Wallace unavailable, Shamari Connor will be asked to handle a far higher volume of slot snaps than he's been asked to this season. That might sound like just a depth move on paper, but matchups matter. And when Connor is targeted in the slot, the tape and the numbers both show he hasn't been able to consistently lock down receivers. That weakness in the interior of the defense does two things. It gives Houston a clear go-to plan for third down, and it makes Spagnuolo's most aggressive fixes, the blitz packages, riskier than ever. Right now, the Chiefs are beating teams in some box score categories, but the real problem shows up in the clutch moments. Opponents are converting third downs at a rate that's too high for comfort, and the math gets painful when you combine a struggling slot matchup with blitz calls that haven't consistently generated positive results. The Texans aren't dumb. They'll target that slot matchup repeatedly, especially on third and short to third and medium, and they have the personnel to make Philadelphia-style slot work painful for you if it's left one-on-one. On offense, there's another storyline that we'll unpack later. The right side of the line has been dinged, and that changes play calling, but right now the immediate non-negotiable concern is this. Without Roland Wallace, the Chiefs' defensive picture becomes more about damage control than ideal scheming. So before we do anything else, I want you to answer this quick poll in the comments. Do you think the Chiefs' secondary can hold up without Roland Wallace for one game? Type yes or no and give a one-sentence reason. Also hit the like button if you want more breakdowns, like this, and if you're new here, subscribe to help us reach 6,000 subscribers. It really makes a difference for the channel. I'll stick with you through the breakdowns. Next up, I'll show you exactly how Houston will try to expose the slot and why that blends so dangerously with Spagnuolo's blitz packages. When you zoom in on the true stress point of this game, it becomes obvious that Christian Roland Wallace being out isn't just inconvenient. It creates a very specific structural weakness that the Texans are built to exploit. The Chiefs' biggest defensive issue right now isn't yards or points or even explosive plays. It's the one down that decides who controls the game, third down. And losing Roland Wallace forces Shamari Connor into a role where the numbers say he struggles the most. Slot coverage against shifty separators who win with precision rather than size. Houston absolutely knows this. They're not just going to test the slot. They're going to center their third down plan around it. This is where the matchup becomes a problem. When Spagnuolo brings pressure on third down, a staple of his identity, the Chiefs rank near the bottom of the league in yards per play, allowed, and sack rate. That means the blitz isn't getting home often enough. And when it doesn't, it turns into free completions against isolated defenders. Put a struggling slot corner in that picture, and the result is predictable. Clean, rhythm throws for C.J. Stroud, and long drives that bleed like clock and keep Mahomes on the sideline. Houston has the perfect tools for this kind of attack. Their route tree on third down is full of quick-hitting option routes, speed-outs, crossers, and pivots, all the staples that punish a slot defender who doesn't transition smoothly or gets caught flat-footed against man coverage. And because the Chiefs' third down blitz numbers have been weak, Houston doesn't even have to guess much. They know when the look dictates pressure, and they know where to go with the ball when that pressure doesn't hit home. It's death by precision rather than explosives. But it's not just the slot matchup. It's how that weakness interacts with the way Houston structures drives. They love attacking 3rd and 5 to 3rd and 8 situations with tempo routes that punish leverage. If Kansas City can't get off the field in those windows, this game becomes a grind in all the ways the Texans prefer. Even more concerning, the Chiefs' defense statistically collapses in Twice 3rd and 7+ situations, ranking near the bottom of the league in yards per play allowed and passer rating allowed. 3rd and long shouldn't favor the offense, but right now, it does. So what's the fix? Spags has 2 choices: blitz less and force Houston to sustain long drives through patience, or disguise the pressure looks better so the ball doesn't come out instantly. Neither option is perfect, but both are better than letting Houston isolate one matchup all night. Kansas City may even need to give Connor more inside help, bracket looks, trap leverage, or safety rotations that make Stroud think twice. The key isn't shutting down Houston entirely. It's forcing just enough hesitation to steal 2 or 3 stops that swing the game. Before we move on, I want your take on the defensive approach. Tell me in the comments, should the Chiefs blitz less on 3rd down this week? Yes or no? And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to help us hit 6,000 subscribers. Every single one helps this channel grow. This game could come down to whether Kansas City treats the offensive line injuries as a reason to panic or as a blueprint for how to win ugly. And I think you want the latter. With Jawan Taylor and Trey Smith listed doubtful, we're looking at Mike Caliendo, Wani Morris, and Jalen Moore stepping into critical spots. And that changes everything about spacing, protection calls, and what Andy Reid can reasonably ask Patrick Mahomes to do. First, and most obvious, when your right-side starters are banged up, the cleanest path to sustaining drives is to make the defense defend the run and stay out of obvious pass rush gain lanes. That means under-center looks, more 2 TE sets, heavy personnel, and a steady diet of downhill runs for Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt to force Houston's edge rushers to play run first and open up quick control passing windows for Mahomes. You can't ask backup linemen to handle a full game of one-on-one pass sets against elite speed, rushers like Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter. The smarter move is to shorten the game with play designs that get the ball out quickly, use pre-snap motion to create easier matchups, and insert chip or help blocks from Travis Kelce and the tight end group when you do keep Mahomes in the pocket. That doesn't mean abandoning the pass entirely. It means changing the script. Get creative with quick outs, 2 to 3 step drops, bubble screens and RPOs that punish over-aggression, and let Mahomes salvage pressured plays by design rather than desperation. You also want to see more calls that disguise protections, slide the line toward the strength, run misdirection to take advantage of aggressive pursuit, and use run-pass balance to make Houston hesitate on obvious blitz calls. Don't forget play action. Even a modestly effective ground game forces linebackers to respect the run and widens the window for intermediate crossing routes that can chew up the Texans' 3rd down plans. Another nuance, clock management. If the Chiefs can sustain longer, methodical drives, even if that costs a few explosive plays, you limit Stroud's opportunities and keep Houston's pass rush from pinning their ears back on every snap. On pass downs, max protect early, then substitute into quicker, spread concepts once you've bled a series or 2 of rushers' energy. Situationally, short yardage and red zone snaps should tilt toward power and gap schemes, where a veteran back can one-step contact and get the job done. Finally, Mahomes' scrambling becomes a planned asset rather than a last resort. Rollouts and designed bootlegs move the pocket away from isolated edges and let Mahomes use his legs without exposing backup linemen to pure speed rush matchups. Quick question for you. Do you want Reid to lean on a run-heavy game plan this week? Vote yes or no in the comments and tell us one play you'd call to protect Mahomes. And if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe to help us hit 6,000 subscribers. The Texans aren't hiding their plan this week. They're doubling down on exactly the areas where the Chiefs have struggled the most. Their entire defensive identity is built around forcing you into uncomfortable downs, then unleashing pressure. And Kansas City's injuries on the offensive line only make that easier for them. Houston has cranked up their man coverage to around 36% lately, and that change is targeted directly at Patrick Mahomes' statistical split. Against zone, Mahomes averages a sharp 8.6 yards per attempt, but that number drops to 5.2 against man. When you combine tight man coverage with heavy pressure, you're forcing the ball out of his hands early and betting that wide receivers can't create immediate separation. That's the chess match here. Mahomes versus a defense that wants to suffocate reads and speed up the timing of the play before it begins. And then there's Will Anderson Jr., who leads the NFL with 36 third down pressures. If Houston gets Kansas City into third and medium or third and long, they're going to pin their ears back and dare the Chiefs to win one-on-one. This is where Andy Reid simply can't get too cute. Quick motion, well-timed screens, stacked alignments for receivers like Rashee Rice, and run action on early downs are essential to avoid those obvious passing scenarios. Because once Houston has you in 3rd and 7 or longer, the numbers shift dramatically in their favor. Kansas City's defense ranks 30th in yards per play allowed in those exact long yardage situations and 31st in passer rating allowed. That is one of the defining weaknesses the Texans are going to test. Defensively, the Chiefs' #1 priority has to be neutralizing Nico Collins. Houston is 4-0 this year when he averages at least 18 yards per catch. That means you can't let him hit explosives, especially with Christian Roland Wallace out and Shamari Connor taking extra slot responsibilities. You're going to need leadership games from Nick Bolton, Chris Jones, and George Karlaftis to compensate. And when Steve Spagnuolo brings pressure, he has to be strategic. Blitzing just to blitz won't work here, not against a quarterback as poised as C.J. Stroud. But well-timed, disguised pressure? That can flip a possession. This matchup is truly strength versus strength and weakness versus weakness, and that combination tends to create chaos football. The team that handles 3rd down better, both offensively and defensively, is the Kikil team that's going to control this game in the 4th quarter. Quick question for you. Who's the one Chiefs defender you think has to show up on Sunday night? Drop your pick in the comments. And as always, tap like and hit subscribe to help us push towards 6,000 subscribers. It means the world to the channel. All right, here are the 4 things that absolutely have to happen for the Chiefs to survive this week and keep the playoff path alive. First, win the slot matchup. With Christian T. Roland Wallace out, you can't let Shamari Connor be repeatedly isolated in the slot on 3rd down. That means safety rotations, bracket help, or more pre-snap disguise to rob Houston of that one clear target. Second, control the line of scrimmage. With Jawaan Taylor and Trey Smith doubtful, this game becomes a test of depth in the trenches. Andy Reid needs to force Houston to defend the run, use under-center looks, 2 TE sets, and quick passing to keep Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter from winning with pure speed. Third down situational discipline on both sides of the ball. Offense must convert when it matters. Defense must generate 2 or 3 critical stops. If you can't get off the field on 3rd down, you hand Houston clock and momentum. Fourth, disguise and discipline in pressure packages. Spagnuolo's blitzing can flip the game if it's timed and disguised, but blind aggression will hand C.J. Stroud easy completions. So pressure has to be surgical, not constant. Those 4 priorities are the roadmap. Now, what you should watch in real time. The first 2 series for the offensive line. If the Chiefs get a pair of sustained, run-heavy drives early, that's a huge green flag. Watch how often Travis Kelce is used as an inline blocker or chipper. That tells you how conservative the game plan will be. On defense, pay attention to nickel-chance slot matchups on 3rd down, and whether the Chiefs bring late safety help or play more single high zone to relieve Shamari Connor. Also keep an eye on special teams and field position. This game is going to be close enough that a blocked punt or a long Harrison Butker field goal decides it. My bold prediction: it's messy, it's physical, and it comes down to the final drive. I'm calling Chiefs 27, Texans 24. A late Harrison Butker field goal to seal it, and a game-winning 3rd down stop in the 4th quarter. Now I want you to engage. Drop your final score prediction in the comments and name the one Chiefs defender who has to show up for this to happen.